Let's take a quick trip back in time. Back to a year when the biggest danger to your kid might have been a heavy metal spike you bought them from a toy store. That world was 1984. And believe it or not, what was totally normal back then explains so much about the anxiety and, that deep-seated skepticism that we all seem to feel today.
It sounds completely wild now, but we were all basically practicing for the world we live in now. And the training? It was, to put it lightly, bizarre. I mean, just picture it. Little kids puffing on these chalky candy cigarettes, acting out a habit that would literally kill millions of people. We were just rehearsing for the future, and we had no idea.
Okay, so this slide just nails the whole shift in what we're afraid of. Back then, right, the dangers were physical. You could see them, you could touch them, and hopefully you could run away from them. But today, our biggest fears are totally invisible. They're lurking in the algorithms that decide what we see, and in the opinions of total strangers we're never ever going to meet.
So the big question is, how did we get here? How did our whole idea of what's dangerous get so completely flipped on its head? Let's dig in and trace that evolution, from the very real physical dangers of the past to the digital anxieties of right now.
This is basically a highlight reel from an 80s childhood, a time that just casually accepted an insane level of risk. You had lawn darts, which were, let's be honest, basically weapons you'd just hurl into the sky. And then there was the simple, weird joy of licking a 9-volt battery just to feel that little shock. Danger was just part of the deal.
Now check this out. For a toy with such a legendary, lethal reputation, the official number of deaths is way lower than you'd think, just 3. But that number, that tiny number, actually tells a much, much bigger story. Because when you hear that number, 3, what's your gut reaction? It's disbelief, right? You immediately think, no way, it has to be more than that. And that feeling, right there, that's the perfect example of our modern skepticism. We just don't trust the official story anymore.
Which brings us right to today. The number one fear for parents isn't some radioactive toy from an atomic energy lab kit, which, by the way, was a real thing you could buy. No, the biggest anxiety now is this vague, creeping feeling that our phones are doing some kind of invisible psychological damage to our kids. The danger zone moved from the backyard right onto the backlit screen.
Okay, so if we can't even trust the official stats on a dangerous toy, what about all the bigger truths we were taught in school? This is where the foundation of our modern distrust really starts to crack.
You remember this thing, right? The food pyramid was everywhere. It was practically gospel. We were all told to build our diets on this huge base of bread, cereal, and pasta. We're talking 6 to 11 servings a day. Now we know that advice was just wrong. And it was pushed on us by giant corporations like General Mills that had a whole lot of grain to sell. So yeah, that distrust of nutritional science, it was earned.
And get this, it wasn't just about corporate greed. Take Kellogg's, for instance. The company wasn't founded on some breakthrough nutritional idea. No, its founder, John Harvey Kellogg, literally believed that his bland cornflakes could fight off what he saw as the moral evil of sexual desire. So, an entire breakfast empire was basically built on sexual repression, just disguised as a healthy start to your day.
And here is the real kicker. Studies have shown that about half of what's taught as fact in medical schools is eventually proven wrong or just becomes totally outdated. So think about it. When settled science has a 50-50 shot of being wrong later, is it really paranoia to be skeptical? Or is it just logical? And that's the question that just sticks in your head, isn't it? If the very basics of what we were taught about nutrition were wrong, if medical facts have a shelf life, what else that we believe right now is actually built on shaky ground?
So this questioning of science, it naturally grows into a deeper distrust of the official stories we get from all of our institutions, from charities all the way up to our governments.
I mean, look at a modern example like the LA Fire Aid concert. It was supposed to help victims of fires, but then reports came out alleging the money went to stuff that had nothing to do with it. We're talking political groups, paying podcasters, even fungus planting projects. It just feeds that feeling that even when intentions seem good, there's always something else going on behind the scenes.
And this is where it gets really interesting. A video went viral that supposedly showed a daycare owner accused of fraud flaunting a new Rolls-Royce. People watching it immediately knew it was a terrible staged reenactment. But here's the crazy part. It didn't even matter. The story was so believable, it just confirmed what everyone already thought was true. The fake video became a kind of emotional proof, and that was way more powerful than any fact check.
And look, this isn't just a modern feeling.
It is rooted in actual documented history. In 1953, the CIA and MI6 literally overthrew the democratically elected government of Iran just to get control of their oil. This isn't some fringe conspiracy theory. This was official US and UK foreign policy, and we are still dealing with the fallout from it today.
All right, let's switch gears from geopolitics for a second. Meet the Aswang. It's a vampire-like monster from the Philippines. Pure nightmare fuel. A local superstition, right? Well, it also became a terrifying weapon in a very real, very creepy intelligence operation.
This is just a mind-blowing example of how far governments will go. Back in the 50s, a CIA's PsyCops unit used this local legend to terrorize rebels. They'd actually ambush a soldier, drain his body of blood, and leave 2 puncture marks on his neck. His buddies would find the body and run for the hills, convinced a real monster was hunting them. When you know for a fact that stuff like this has actually happened, how can you not question the official story?
So, after all that, it's pretty easy to feel like we're just lost in a world of fakes and propaganda and half-truths. But that's not where this story ends. Because even in a world full of spin, some things are just undeniable.
And that's the whole point, right? In the middle of all this confusion, there are things that are just true. Things that can't be faked. Things that can't be spun. They just are. And that's where we can find our footing again.
Think about the old school boxers. Jack Dempsey, a savage from a savage time. Rocky Marciano, 49-0. You can't fake an undefeated record. You can't stage that kind of raw power. Inside the ring, there's no propaganda, there's no hidden agenda, there's just skill, there's will, and there's a result you can see with your own 2 eyes. It's like a powerful cure for all the ambiguity we've been swimming in.
So that leaves us with one last question. In a world of shifting facts and hidden agendas, what are the things that you hold on to? The things that you know are undeniably real. What's your knockout truth? Because when it comes down to it, that's all we really have to find our way through the noise.